What's up, Hippo lovers? This is the 1v1 between TheMista and Villese in a qualifier for the $20,000 Genesis tournament. Last round, game number 1, and the French Mirror. We saw a lot of French Mirrors, and I looked over all the final games of the qualification stage, and this one was really, really special. So, for the first step here, have a double scout opening. As you can see, lots of minimap already explored here for TheMista. On the other side, as we mentioned, Villese with the French as well. But I mainly want to focus on the gameplay here of Mista and why I think it is so special. So remember, French, they start with the School of Cavalry, can build knights in feudal age, which is pretty crazy. So many things going into their favor. Stronger knights with the extra attack and cheaper upgrades for everything when it comes to the economy as well. Faster working TC and yada yada. So pretty damn strong and considered to be the strongest civilization right now. Something to mention, 5 on gold, rather on the early side, something we don't see too often in this French matchup. And normally we are more looking into, I would think, like 3 and then adding 4 more. This is indeed what Villese is going for. Then if he wants to go for the second stable, which is not happening. One of the major things in French War also is that villages will be exposed, right? Especially the longer the game goes, you won't have any free food. Berries over here, deer over there, gold at the front exposed, and that makes it really tricky to protect your villagers. If we again look at Villese's map, right now, gold relatively at the front exposed, berries relatively open, so having your villagers protected at all times will be really tricky. Deer on the outside here. But now, and this is the thing that surprised me so much, we are going for the upgrade called Professional Scouts. And Scout gain the ability to carry animal carcasses. And this completely changes how this matchup is getting played and how this game is obviously playing out. Because the big issue that I just tried to address, that we have all those exposed villages, will completely change there. Because now the scouts can simply go kill some of those deer and simply carry them next to your CC. And obviously this costs quite a bit, right? You build an extra scout, you invest another 52 wood, 192 gold. This has to finish first. So technically, villages should have a timing. I still believe that your economy is good enough to always produce out of one stable, but if Villese was to go for a second stable a bit earlier, I think this still is vulnerable to a timing. So this is not, I would think, like an uncounterable strategy, but certainly if your opponent doesn't know about it, if your opponent is not building the second military building, it will get really tricky to address. And now we see the thing that I'm talking about. We're killing those deer and the scouts are simply carrying them over. And that is 350 food. While TheMista knows, okay, my economy is still pretty fragile. Has to keep all his army at home. But now the food income will be so much better for him. 700 food under the TC. Let's compare that with Villese. Lots of villages on the berries exposed. Lots of villages on gold exposed. Wood relatively close to the TC. Now added the second stable. Obviously having more resources, so could be a good option. But for now, the knights are able to defend quite reasonably well. Villese maybe slipping up a bit with the macro there. Knight count 4 versus 4 now. And scouts, they're just constantly bringing in food now. And this will be so good. Very patient play here by Mista. Now adds the second stable himself. So knows about the timing. And as we can see, Villese maybe floating gold here. Maybe floating a bit of wood. Stable and School of Cavalry should be working at all times. But with this, now we know why Villese was behind. He was producing the heal my units or heal my knights up when out of combat chivalry, the name of the upgrade. Something that TheMista could not afford yet. And that basically takes the time of 2 knights. So Villese maybe could have gone a bit more in and out. But now it feels like 6 knights against 5 knights. Yeah, the healing is an option here. We now see the engagement. I think Villese, yeah, disengaging here makes lots of sense. TheMista, will he find the timing to go for chivalry? Now he does. And life is just so much easier for him now. Getting another deer kill. Getting it over next to TC again. And those are the villagers that are just simply so protected over and over again. And I can't say how much I fell in love with this approach. Mista still knows how he defensively needs to play. And Villese, obviously healing up now. Waits for some more HP on his knights and then tries to find another engagement. Something that TheMista's not really giving him though. Lots of villagers on gold here. And Villese feels like, okay, some more HP could be nice. Now maybe taking the engagement. But feels like 7 against 7 knights. Maybe healing up a bit more is a better option. He also sees that his opponent is not healing up. Meanwhile, another scout micro. And the macro is just so good here. Remember though, you now think, okay, why is he not taking over the boars? 2,000 food on those. That's not an option with that technology though. It only works for deer. And it is the constant threat, right? And Villese is active. Villese is producing. But now we see the major issue. Now we see the big problem. Villagers have to expand for Villese. Simply because he does not have the food. And now we get to even numbers. 9 against 8. Could be a better fight for Villese. I think TheMista needs to micro back. Is doing exactly that. Finds a kill. Villese is going for it again. And Mista with a nice micro is holding this one. And from now on, the food income obviously will be always better. Also, deer being collected faster than berries and sheep. So overall, so much going on for TheMista right now. Fewer exposed villagers and faster food income. Bought himself enough time. Now Villese splits off a bit. And it feels so weird, and it feels like the anti-hype caster that I sometimes am. But from here on, it kind of snowballs out of control. I'm 2x speeding it now. But TheMista is now knowing, okay, you will have to expand, send some knights to the top, send some knights to the bottom, keeps enough knights at the defense in the center, feels like, okay, maybe I could even add a 3rd stable at some point, and just plays it really safe. And now the big problem is coming in. But obviously Villese is smart dude himself, is already sending some knights for the defense, but will you always be ready for all attacks? Because TheMista obviously can just disengage. And can just find his better timings. Still, all villages next to the TC, right? All of them are in range, and that's just so incredibly impressive to me. And now the first raids are coming in. And now, this is the big problem of this. Villagers getting pushed back. Now we have more farmers as well. Wood that is invested. That TheMista can invest into something else. Plus, obviously, farm slower than deers as well. Yeah, Villese still finds some angles and finds some attacks. Impossible for TheMista to have control over all areas. But in general, the raids simply will be so much better. And from here, it completely runs out of control. And I can show you a bit more fast forwarding. Yeah, we have some nice raids. Pretty good. But simply having the gold, the berries and the food so much closer. And you can see, right? Mista, he needs to run here as well, because those berries are relatively exposed. The big problem though, Villese will always be way more exposed, simply because he has to expand so much. Villager count now 43 for Villese. TheMista is sitting at 49. Found some villager snipes earlier. And that is even including the scout that he built very early on. Now goes for another raid here. Villese, nice anticipation. Already pulled those villagers away, but unlikely to be enough. Scout also is even stealing a deer. I didn't even see that the first time I watched it. Really nice move there as well. More and more night production. And Villese's food economy simply will be so much worse. And TheMista wins this one. Great play by him. Also, so much stuff behind this was something that he did so well as well. with the scout, with the macro, so much going right for him. But I think the major issue simply was going for that upgrade and being so much safer, allowing himself to raid the opponent while not getting raided back. Okay, I think I repeated myself enough. This was it, and TheMista advanced to the main event. I'm curious to see what he has in store next Saturday and Sunday. That's it from me. Goodbye, Hippo lovers.